Some people think that everything is in motion, and not just big and small material things like the cosmos and quarks, but social and political things, like economies and countries and tribes and groups and families and couples and relationships, that it's all in motion, that everything is in flux, that reality is less like a fixed object, less like a rock, and more like a fabric in the wind. A fabric where the various weaves of life are constantly kind of moving and blown every which way, sometimes touching, sometimes not, sometimes folding in on themselves or each other. And while there might be patterns in all this movement, these different waves of life, it's impossible to definitively say what they are, as we just can't see the whole fabric of reality, right? We're not God. And yet we scramble after this or that weave in the fabric of life on our way to death. One weave or another that we can imagine can give us purchase on what is real. Maybe the weave of studying hard to get a good job, to make money, to live a good life. Maybe that's the weave that we're focusing on. Or the weave of finding a lover, to get married, to have kids, to have a good life. Or the weave of working hard to have a big house, to maintain a lifestyle you hope is the good life. Or the weave of making sure your kids have all the opportunities and options to set them up for the good life. Or the weave of pursuing the good life of pleasure and adventure in small purchases and big holidays. Maybe you're tying in a few of these weaves together. But let me ask you, are you happy? Would you say that you're deeply satisfied with your life? That you're fulfilling the whole point of your existence? That everything is in its right place? Honestly, ask yourself that. Perhaps you're a little bit like me, where things are moving, something's always happening, but often it's fairly pedestrian and trivial, and it's a whirlwind of them, right? One after the other, certainly always on the move, but never really feeling like you're going anywhere. Just going through the motions, constantly shooting, but never really hitting the mark. Ever feel like that? Is it just me? Wouldn't it be nice to know where to shoot? To know which way to turn in all the busyness and all the bustle of life, to have a meaningful direction, a true north that's not only orientating but satisfies our very humanity. Well, I reckon our passage this morning offers that kind of direction and purpose. Big call, but I reckon it does. But first, let's recap on where we've been so far in the Gospel of John. Jesus, he's been crucified on a Friday, dead and buried. And very early Sunday morning, Mary Magdalene comes to Jesus' tomb. It's empty. She races off to tell the disciples. When Peter and John hear, they fang over to the tomb and they find it empty too. They go home, but Mary sticks around fretting where Jesus' body has been taken. Two angels appear in the tomb, and then Jesus himself appears to her. She thinks he's the gardener to start with, but he says her name. And Mary recognises him, clings to him, but Jesus tells her to let him go, and instead to go and tell the disciples, which she does. Now, we're not told how the disciples react to her news, but we know the day draws to a close with them all together in some locked room somewhere, freaked out that the Jewish leaders are coming to get them as they did Jesus. But it's here, in this locked room, where we'll see, firstly, God sends Jesus. Secondly, that who in turn, Jesus sends the Holy Spirit and the apostles. And then finally, Jesus sends us too.